Okay, let's unpack this.
We're taking a deep dive tonight. Not into one story, but into, well, a collection of events. A stack of 6 modern nightmares.
That's right. These are stories about profound dread, about things that are corrupted. And our mission here is to sort of piece them together to see the
To
patterns.
find the threads that connect them all. Because they do connect.
They really do. I mean, what are these tales of unnatural disease, of hidden family rituals? What do they all say about our deepest fears? The corruption of the body, of nature, even of our own homes?
We're going to start in a place that should feel safe, or at least understandable. A state forest, with a biologist doing his job.
His name was Elias Ward, and his task at first was completely routine. State mandate. He had to put down a deer.
Tag R7769. It was showing all the classic signs of chronic wasting disease, CWD.
And CWD is a real thing, which is what makes this so unsettling from the jump. It's a prion disease.
Right, think mad cow. It basically turns deer into these listless neurological zombies. It's horror built on, actual science.
Totally. So Elias does his job. He logs the kill, and then the carcass vanishes.
And not like it was dragged off by a predator. The report said no fur left, no drag marks.
A clean erasure, like it was just lifted out of the world.
That's the first sign that something is deliberating. But the trail cam footage, that's where the real dread begins.
Oh, yeah. He gets a picture of the tag buck again, days later.
But it's not moving right. The report, it's chilling. It says the deer was walking upright, not on all fours.
And the movement was wrong. It was too clean.
Yes, suggesting the body was being carried, not powered.
That detail that's being carried, it just gets under your skin.
Yeah.
It means something else is inside. Wearing the deer like a suit. Learning how to use the controls.
And it is learning.
Oh.
Because Elias then finds the nest.
Which is just wrong. Deer don't make nests.
But this thing did, a shallow depression in the ground with this organized pile of debris, small bones, feathers, a twisted animal jaw.
It wasn't just scavenging. It was collecting, categorizing.
And this is where it all spirals. This is where the human element comes in and makes it 1,000 times worse. Elias starts getting sick himself. Nosebleeds, the capillaries in his eyes turning red.
And he finds out why. He goes back through the lab team's logs and finds a note scribbled in the margin. An instruction they missed.
Burn after disposal.
They never did. That single misstep. The horror here isn't an ancient curse. It's a procedural oversight. It's bureaucracy gone fatally wrong.
And the only reason Elias lasted as long as he did, compared to the seasonal hire, Nathan, who you see stumbling in that final awful footage, the only reason was the ammonia-based cleaner he used on a tissue sample. It created some kind of chemical buffer. It didn't save him. It just delayed the transformation. He was bought a few extra days by cleaning supplies.
So if a system fails, something unspeakable just walks away into the woods.
Exactly. And that idea of nature demanding something, of a bargain being struck, it takes an even darker turn on a quiet family farm.
This story is about a man named Tom and a childhood memory he could never shake. A rabbit, a field, and a pit in the ground.
A gray-pink veiny pit is how he described it, and he saw it swallow a rabbit hole.
Years later, his father finally confessed. The pit was the reason the farm survived. It was an ecological contract.
A hungry one. It required frank blood, warm, just killed or still kicking. If it wasn't fed, the crops would fail, the land would die.
And they had tested it. The father told him roadkill didn't work. Rotted hard carcasses. The pit demanded a warm, living sacrifice.
It wasn't just a hungry hole. It was demanding a moral price.
And Tom learned just how high that price was. One day, he found something near the edge of the pit, matted in the slime.
A scrap of cloth.
A piece of his mother's red hair ribbon. And he understood. The grave near the poplar grove was empty. His father hadn't just sacrificed livestock.
He'd paid the ultimate price to keep the land alive. So in both these stories, you see this profound fear of bodies that won't stay dead or land that demands payment in blood. Survival becomes this gruesome, terrible act.
So from there, we pivot from corrupted nature to monsters that look like us, or that are born from our own broken minds.
We begin with a bird watcher, and what's so terrifying is how easily he stumbles into this. He just follows a sound.
Right, a missile thrush. But it's not making a bird call, it's mimicking a metallic clink.
That sound, a sound of civilization, leads him deep into the woods, to a hidden shed.
And inside, it's not chaos, it's organized. Horrifyingly so. steel cages, a surgical table with stained tools, a huge freezer chest.
But the real story is what's inside the freezer. Plastic tubs, each one carefully labeled.
Shannon's scalp, Benjamin lower left arm.
Shannon teeth.
Yeah.
It's a collection, and you find out the collector, the man who owned the shed, had lost his wife and child in a fire.
But this wasn't just murder. In his mind, he believed he was putting his family right.
He was collecting parts from missing people to try and reassemble the life that he lost.
That's a different kind of monster. The motivation isn't sadism. It's a kind of broken, terrible love. The grief itself became the engine for horror.
Which brings us to a more traditional kind of monster, the Wendigo.
We have two different encounters here. First, Officer Donnelly. His is immediate, it's visceral, he's at a car crash.
And he watches the driver transform right in front of him, skin tearing, a snout forming, bones cracking.
And a second row of fangs pushing through the gums. The sheer speed of it, the violation of the human form happening in seconds.
Now, you compare that to Marcus Halt's encounter. He's isolated up in a crane tower, and he has time to think. He's relying on knowledge.
Right, on his daughter's field guide. He's literally looking up the monster that's trying to kill him.
And the guide gives him the profile. Tall, thin, more bone than skin, sharp antlers. It moves with these unnatural angles.
It's associated with cold, a smell of rot,
Hmm.
and this crucial detail. Its speed increases with its hunger.
But it also gives him a weakness, an aversion to fire.
That's his key. He makes this desperate, makeshift Molotov cocktail, a bottle of whiskey and a piece of his flannel shirt.
An intellectual solution, whereas Officer Donnelly's solution was purely primal.
He used a fire axe, severed the creature's arm, and sent it falling into a gorge.
But here's the kicker. After Donnelly's fight, he goes back to the crash site. The driver's body, the one that started to transform,
Gone.
completely vanished, which suggests this thing is, well, it's more resilient than the old stories would have you believe.
So one man survives with knowledge, the other with brute force. But both stories confirm the same deep fear, that something ancient and hungry is out there, wearing our skin.
And that brings us to our last story, the Phantom Twin. This one. This one might be the most devastating.
Because the monster isn't from the woods or a strange disease. It was created by a family, by denial.
The story is about Tom, a surviving twin. His brother Jamie died at birth. But his parents, they refused to accept it.
They maintained this complete physical illusion. 2 cribs, matching sets of shoes laid out every morning.
They created a ghost by just refusing to let Jamie go. They had this rule about a seam in the center of the rug that Tom wasn't allowed to cross. That was Jamie's side.
And they would blame Tom. When a blanket was pulled off him at night, or a closet door creaked open, they'd say Jenny was being disrespectful. They were gaslighting their own child with a ghost they invented.
And you see the evidence bill, the mother's journal entries, they get more and more frantic. He won't stop crying. It's every day. Please play with him.
They're not just grieving, they're weaponizing their grief against their living son.
And then there's the photograph. An old photo of 2 newborns in a bassinet. The second baby is still, and the photo is stamped 5 hours after Jamie's official time of death.
They kept him there. They took a picture. The depth of that denial it's staggering.
And eventually, the ghost they created, it started to play along. The final piece of evidence is a tape recording.
The mother is reading a story. And you hear a child's voice whisper, "Good night, Tom."
But the crucial detail is how it sounds. The report says the voice was amused, not sleepy, not comforting. It was playing the game.
The story ends. Well, it ends with a kind of acceptance. Tom, now grown, is sitting in the old nursery, and he's holding a small, ice-cold hand that's reaching out from the closet.
He breaks the cycle of his parents' denial by finally acknowledging the presence they made. The conflict ends, but the haunting doesn't.
So when you pull back, when you look at all 6 of these nightmares, a pattern starts to form.
You see the fear of contamination, of systems breaking down in Elias Ward's story. The fear of loss twisting into something monstrous with the collector.
The terror that the land itself demands a blood tax in the flesh pit, and that we're being hunted by things that look like us in the Wendigo stories.
But the thread that ties them all together is that they're all about our internal traumas made external. They use this extreme physical horror.
Unnatural regeneration, body modification, forced ritual.
To show what happens when the systems we trust most just fail. When ecology fails, the deer gets up and walks on 2 legs. When family fails, the dead child stays in the closet. When your own mind fails, you start collecting body parts.
It's all about what happens when you lose control.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to carry out of here. We spend so much time trying to impose structure on chaos, with science, with folklore, with rules. So which is more terrifying? The monster that plays by the rules, like the Wendigo, who you can fight with fire if you know the folklore.
Or the monster that exists only because someone missed a line in a logbook, like tag R7769, the one that confirms our worst fear. That sometimes the greatest horror isn't a demon or a cryptid, it's just a typo. It's just human error gone fatally wrong.